Hey y'all, what's going on? Sebastian here with Spin Driving School, and we are back with another video. And guess what? It's that time of the year. Winter time, yeah. Sucks, don't it? A lot of rain, a lot of slippage. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into some rain, wetness, driving, and some other possible potential hazards. So yeah. First and foremost, the most important thing when it comes to driving in the rain, in all seriousness, is your skill level and experience that you have driving in, whatever conditions that you are experiencing. So that's number one. Then, the kind of car you drive, the way it handles, its weight, its size, the tires. If you have good winter tires, all these things are going to help. If you have all or four-wheel drive, even if you have manual transmission in some situations, though you can achieve those things with automatic transmissions as well, but there's a lot of different factors. However, if you just want a simple solution to driving in the rain, dropping your speed limit a little bit, sure, your distance and your speed are going to be the biggest factors. So going downhill, turning, sharp turns, sharp corners, definitely slow down, 5 to 10 kilometers rather. These actions will depend on the level of experience and your confidence, and again, how much you have driven in those conditions. I lived in Ontario for almost 10 years. I drove in the snow, and hail, just a lot of different crazy weather conditions and situations, not to repeat myself. But so, you can argue that I have maybe more experience than the average person just because I've lived kind of all over the world and I've driven in different conditions, but nonetheless, experience. So, how fast you're going to be taking these turns and etc. will depend on that, but generally definitely take a turn slower, and again, the sharper ones. So we'll just get into a bunch of videos and then we'll also address a lot of these points throughout the videos. So let's go. Okay, so first section here, we are going downhill. Now this is not really a big or a steep or a steep downhill, I guess, or decline. At parts, yes, but it's still a hill. It's more of a gradual hill, rather. But you still want to reduce your speed. So in this case, I was going maybe around 40. There's a stop sign coming up at the end. So, you want to make sure that you're applying your brakes and slowing down nice and early so that you're not going to slide down a hill. Because if that happens, you get into an accident, fail your road test. Pick your poisons. And then we're coming up to another stop sign. So again, I'm not going to accelerate to 50 or whatever the speed limit is just because I'm coming up to especially because I'm coming up to a stop sign. And in these conditions, absolutely not. So now I'm turning onto Boundary through the boulevard. And this was a pretty nasty day. So now we're getting a lot of these, spurs of rain, 5 to 6 to 10 to 11 days. This section of the road is flooded a lot. So again, this is Boundary, and the left lane here is flooded pretty much throughout most of this section of the road. So I'm turning left here. Again, I'm maybe going 20 to 30 and then building up to 40 and probably around 40 through these puddles. By the way, I shouldn't have said me. This is my student driving. So anyway, so yeah, we're just probably going around 40. And again, you don't need to slow down in these conditions. The left, if you look at the left side, it's pretty much all flooded there. So we're splashing water all over, but it's just what it is. If you want to go a little bit slower there, that's fine. If you want to go 30 or, that should be okay, but you can always move over to the right lane, right? That's another option. That's probably the better option, is just driving in the other lane in these conditions, because it's not necessarily dangerous, but it's going to feel scary. You're not going to hydroplane at that depth and going at those low speeds anyways. So now we have a green light, And there we go. We're going through yellow, so I'm not going to stop there. That's 100% point of no return, and we'll get into some more yellow lights later on. Yeah, it's, you know, it's just nasty, right? And just the sound of the rain, it's pretty bad. There's going to be a situation coming up here with a bus. So there'll be a driver on the left in a bit that's going to be a little bit naughty, but the bus driver also could have been a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to pass right away. Again, I just waited for, or my student waited for the car to tuck itself in a little bit, and always make sure, here we go. See, look at that. That could have been, that's really close. So in these conditions, pay attention. And if the bus is moving in front of you, just let him in. I think that was a new driver too. Now, this section of the road is a little bit drier. Another problem driving in the rain, and very commonly, especially at night, is visibility for the most part, right? So that's one of the biggest factors and problems I see driving in the rain. It's not, again, necessarily the speed and how slow you should be going, because you shouldn't be really driving too slow in the rain, right? The speed limit is 50 for a reason, so maybe 45, 40 in some cases, but you should be able to drive 50. But the biggest problem is visibility and seeing the lanes and where you are, which we'll get into that in a second. Yeah, I haven't really gotten to, you know, driving in these conditions much yet, but making the left turn here. So again, any sharp left or right turns, depending on your speed, depending if you're stopping or not, but in this case, I'm turning at a green light, and that car technically should be going straight, but they're making a left turn, so whatever. And, you know, a bit of a wider turn, but it's all about, again, level of experience, and take these turns slower if you're not sure, if you don't know what your car is going to do. If your car is going to slide, aka drift, because that's what it's doing, yeah, you're gonna have problems. So nice and steady, you know, maybe 20 to 30k if you want to go 20 or less, sure. If you're going down sharp, really sharp corners or sharp turns, down hills and turns, right and left, sure, slow down a lot more. Again, it will all depend on how well you're able to control the car in these conditions, and so on and so forth. Making a left turn here, good control. So take your time and learn how to control the car, you know, slowly and then fast, and then in these conditions and snow and so on and so forth. The more you drive, the better you'll be. So here we're going to pause for a second. So this is a double turning lane, right? So again, if I slide here, I'm going to slide right into the right lane, laws of inertia, just basic physics, and I'm going to slide into the car next to me. This is why it's important, if you've taken a sharp turn or a turn that you've never done before, you know, just go slow in these conditions. This turn is bad on the good day. So in these conditions, I'm going, maybe, I think I was going like maybe 15 or just barely 20. And then I'm going to move over to the right lane. And then there's a yield chute or a yield sleeve in there, which is also pretty sharp. And I have slid in this turn actually multiple times before. Sometimes, you know, just going a little bit too fast. Even if with winter tires, right? If you take turns too fast, you will still slide, you know, unless you have a really, really good car maybe. Downhill, right turn. This is a tight turn because I'm turning into my lane. There's another truck coming up behind me on my left side behind me. There it is. So I'm not going to be turning wide. So again, I want to take those turns nice and slow so I can control my turn, especially in these conditions. Because if I slide, it's going to be bad. Right turn, nice and steady. Again, I have a lot of experience and a lot of practice, so I'm taking these turns maybe a little bit faster. Now here we have a recommended or a suggestive speed limit of 20 kilometers an hour. So in this case, because these are quite sharp corners, yeah, you can take that recommended speed limit. In dry conditions, yeah, I usually probably go like 40 or 50 there, maybe 30, 35 even, sure. But in this case, my student was driving probably 20, maybe 25. And then you have a stop sign coming up, right? So you don't want to be speeding in these conditions. Yellow light, back to amber. Not going to stop there. It's just no freaking way. That's point of no return. And again, in these conditions, it's dangerous if you're just going to slam on your brakes, right? Yellow light. Maybe I could have stopped there, but I don't know if I would be able to stop at the line. And that's the most important thing. So if I'm not, I'm just going to cruise right through it. Now back to wet roads, or I shouldn't say back, but we are now into wet roads and other debris on the road, which in this case are leaves, where a lot of people don't think about this, first of all, as a hazard and as something that could get you into trouble. You can definitely slide on leaves, especially, now most of the leaves are kind of tucked in closer to the curb. So if you're going to be pulling over, be careful, because you can definitely slide, or if you're turning downhill, especially if it's wet and you have leaves. It is pretty, but you can definitely slide in these corners if you take them too fast. So, I mean, look at that, right? Leaves everywhere. So that's definitely a hazard, and you can even bring that up as a hazard when you're asked about hazards on your road test. Again, it's pretty, but it can be treacherous and very deceiving. And last but not least, on the highway, the faster you're going, and that's the motto for the rest of your life, the faster you're moving, the more distance and the more distance you want to keep, right? So more speed equals more distance. So in these conditions, I'm going probably about $120 here. So, no problem. I got winter tires on this particular car, and I'm just cruising. But look at my distance. That's a lot of distance for me to stop. And also, you have to expect in these conditions and in these situations, people are just going to cut you off because they think that you're leaving that distance for them, and that happens quite frequently. So be careful, but make sure you keep your distance, because it's going to take you a lot of time and space to come to a full stop when you're braking. So that's it. That's all. Stay safe. I hope that helps. Keep practicing, and now is a good time to drive and learn and hone your skills in these treacherous conditions in the winter times in Vancouver. So thanks for your support, and see you later.